So this workshop is based on a model called Six Thinking Hats. And it's really about how we understand the kind of pattern heuristics, to use a word from previous lesson, in how we think and how we communicate and how we work together. And once you understand how those neural pathways and behavioral pathways express in yourselves and in other people, it makes it a lot easier to work with other people because you can go, oh, okay, I see where you're coming from. And that's a big part of change, is saying, I can meet you where you're at. And I think you all know this, and the co-creative approach to education. A big part of your life is, how do I meet students where they're at? And how do I work with them rather than telling them what to do every day? And that's one of the fundamental differences between what Soul is doing as a school and what I call co-creation. Co-creation is a partnership with whomever you're working with, whether it's students, whether it's parents, whether it's CEOs of an organization, where you come into the dialogue and you say, what can we do together? And that's really a fundamentally different expression. You want to talk about anchoring. That anchors the dialogue in a different place than, here's what I can do for you, or here's what I want you to do today, and here's your performance metrics, right? Which we're all used to. And it doesn't matter whether you're in a school setting or a corporate setting, we deal with some of the same issues. Because we're all human. And that, being a cultural anthropologist, that's what I've learned by traveling the world and working in all kinds of different organizations, is that basically people are the same. We do different things, we live in different places, we have different roles, but we're all equally human. And that's super, super important, because the fact that we're equally human, that means we can all relate to each other at any level, in any society, in any position. Because no matter what is going on the surface, I'm a CEO, I'm super important, or I'm a basketball star, or I'm a football player, in the heart, we're human. We have the same sets of needs, we have the same struggles with our ego, we have the same kind of life curves and circumstances, and those are all points that we can relate to each other. Yet, we relate to those things in different ways, and that's kind of the key to today's workshop. Six Thinking Hats was developed by a guy named Edward de Bono. And he realized that by understanding kind of different thinking and communication patterns, you could really change the way creative teams work. And so he developed Six Thinking Hats to unlock creativity in teams, and that's how I received it as well. So what we're going to do today is we're actually not just going to have a workshop about Six Thinking Hats. You're going to learn Six Thinking Hats by applying it directly to one of the most important challenges you have here at the school, which is the classroom culture policy. Okay. But before we do that, I have a couple short exercises that I would like to do something that I call setting the container, which is creating kind of the context and the experience as a group that draws us together into this moment, connects us together energetically, and then we can start moving into the process. Does that make sense? Okay. So the first thing I'd like to do is I'm going to sit in a circle with you guys. And I'd like us to connect to our why. Wendy, if you could just come around. I actually like real circles. Now this isn't why are you here today, like, oh, I'm here for a workshop. Okay, this is not a descriptive organizational answer. This is your personal why. Why are you in this room? Why are you in this school? Why does being here matter at all? Okay, so what's your why that brings you to this point in place and time? And we'll do this popcorn style, whoever would like to speak first. Try to keep it to just a couple sentences, and we'll just move around.
Just for clarity, is this like why we're teaching, or why we chose Soul, or why we're here for the training?
I would say, what's your personal motivation for being part of this is the question.
I'll go first.
Sure.
So my why, because I come from like a rough upbringing, so I'm really from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So like down there, it's like the crime rate is like very high, and like the living is like it's based on poverty, and my why is deep. So I feel like each day I wake up, I'm grateful to live in such a beautiful state, California, and also a beautiful city, and there to work in a beautiful facility, which is Soul. So anything I can do to help kids to make sure like they don't like come up out the place that I came out of. Like even though I learned a lot from it, but I wouldn't like recommend nobody to like be brought up in that type of environment. You know, I just want to make sure I change kids' lives to make sure like they don't take the wrong route and to end up in jail like some of my friends have, or either being killed out on the streets like some of my friends have, or either like start selling drugs or anything like that. So my why is to make sure I shift kids into the right direction to the future, and to make sure they're very successful in their lives.
Thank you very much. Perfect. And if you could do me one other favor, just tell me your name when you start. Lamar, correct?
Right, Lamar.
I picked that up from the previous section, but I don't know everybody's name, so that'd be helpful. Thank you.
AKA Coach Wise.
Okay, got it.
Thanks.
Always a tough act to follow, but I'm Martin, aka Bill.
Oh, Bill.
Yeah, I really believe in what Soul's doing, and I got into teaching to try to help create the most kind kids, and this is the perfect setting to do that. On a more personal level, I think I get more reward from teaching than any other profession that I've been involved in, and just a lot of good people in here and good ideas. So
All right,
that's my life.
nice to meet you.
Thanks.
Did you call him Bill? Yeah? Yes.
I love inspiring kids and I love history, so the best way to combine those is to be a history guide. So I love inspiring kids.
What's your name?
Anna.
Anna. Nice to meet you.
I'm Corey. My why is I want to find a balance between love, hope, strength, and living in the moment and help kids do the same thing.
Well said.
Go. You got it? Okay. My why is to, if I was going to spend my time doing anything, then I want to invest my time in something that will help me in the future, and being a teacher meets both those requirements. And I wouldn't want to be stuck at another job where I wasn't impacting myself and others. So that's why I'm here. My name is Bo. Nice to meet you, Sage.
I'll go next. I'm Erica, or Missy. I always just wanted to work with kids. I feel like I get along really well with kids, and I really like helping them and like being that guide that like can reach them, because I never had that teacher. I never had someone who I was like, oh yeah, like I can talk to that person. So I feel like I want to be another adult that they can talk to that's outside of their parents and that they have that like connection with.
Thank you. Missy. It's one of my best friends.
I'm Jeff. I think I relate to a lot of what some other people said about being involved with young people, inspiring them, being involved in a sort of maybe kind of a somewhat revolutionary, kind of forward-thinking style of education. It's interesting to me, project-based, and I love my subject matter, which is art.
My name's Don, and I just love inspiring kids. I just can't wait to actually make more of a difference to society as a whole. I think science is my platform. I also love the leadership aspect, obviously, and the integrate part. And so, earlier I was the one that taught the heuristics approach, and so I love the holistic approach.
Nice. Thank you.
Very simply put, I just think the greatest way to progress humanity is through education. And I have a personal passion for working with students in middle school and high school, because I feel like we get them at, in my opinion, the most pivotal time of their life, where they are really forming their and starting to envision how they'll contribute to life in the world. And so I think I feel very fortunate to get them at that time where we get to help guide them to figuring out who they are, helping them understand how to thrive in life in the world, and giving them a trajectory for how they're going to contribute to our planet. My name's Melissa.
And my name is Wendy, and my why is simple. My passion and my purpose on the planet is to remove fear and anger from our youth and restore them to their uniqueness and their magnificence. And I feel there's no better way than through the educational system, through our Integra, and I believe that we can see world peace in our lifetime if we do those things.
I think you also inspire them with really cool designer shades. That's really all right, I'll go last. I'm going to draw my line.
Is that an option?
I know.
These are all
Oh, and
drawings.
there's markers behind Anna.
Just a few.
I have better.
Make
I think you have a better angle of what he's going to draw.
very well.
All right, I'll go for the big one. So my why, I can draw. When we look at the problems in society, imagine that you're looking at an iceberg, and what we see here sticking out of the surface are symptoms. And a lot of the change efforts in the world try to address symptoms, and it's like Band-Aids. But here's the thing. There's a big, huge chunk of iceberg underneath the surface that's the structure that creates the symptoms. And so there's also change makers that work on structural change, trying to change social systems, trying to change educational systems, trying to change political systems. And if you change the structure, then the symptoms that manifest will change. And this is one really good area of work. But there's something underlying structure as well. And that's the thoughts. I should be able to spell right if I'm in a school, but I really ruined the word thoughts. But thoughts, it's the way we think about things in the world that create our structures, that create our symptoms. So this is where I like to work. The modern day terminology for this is consciousness work. Conscious-based leadership, conscious education, conscious living. And you actually have it right up there on your wall. Conscious and intentional culture. And this is a great definition of conscious. Aware of and responding to one's surroundings. To be awake. It's a very different thing to live your life and be in the world awake than it is to just be repeating the patterns that you've been taught growing up. And I spend most of my life trying to create that simple shift in people and in organizations. And that's working down here. But it's the long game, just like the one that you're playing. If you shift thoughts, to shift structures, to shift symptoms, you're talking about generations of time to actually see it change. So what we do now will only manifest in the children and their children. But in my mind, it's one of the most powerful ways to drive change. And so that's my why.